What's happening, everyone? Welcome back. Happy weekend. Happy Saturday. Thought about doing like a security Saturday, hashtag security Saturday type of stream. Recently, primarily motivated to buy the recent Bybit hack. And funny enough, there was a pretty interesting article. I'll put it up on here by CZ from Binance. So some thoughts on the recent hacks. There was a pattern where attackers were still able to steal large amounts of crypto from multi-sig cold storage solutions, as with Bybit. So yeah, this is the interesting part where it got from cold storage to hot storage. And then in the most recent Bybit case, the hackers were able to make front-end interface show a legitimate transaction, while the actual signing was from a different transaction. So at first, when I heard people talking about hardware wallets why don't they just use a hardware wallet? I thought, I don't know if it, this is for big enterprises and stuff. Their security, I think it's like way different. They may use like a lot of different hardware related services for this stuff, but especially if it's billions of dollars, I mean, it's got to be, I imagine they're using some like enterprise grade interface, maybe built either internally or from a vendor. And there is probably some hardware component to it as well, and a multi-sig and all this stuff too. So it's not, I don't think it's as simple as just, just use a hardware. Like anyone can use a hardware wallet. Why didn't they use one? I think this one is, I don't know. I think so, and we get, let's see. So it's still unclear whether the attackers, I don't know exactly. And maybe they'll have like a post-mortem or something too about how exactly it happened, like how they were able to bypass that too. Because for example, again, on a hardware wallet, you have, before you do approve the transaction, you can see, you can see the address or the first four, last four, that type of stuff, and confirm it is the place that you want to send it to. So it says here, it's still unclear whether the hackers were able to penetrate multiple signing devices or the server side or both. It's got to be pretty advanced for that to happen. Like, I mean, again, these people, I mean, you have all this money, I think they probably had it, they probably had multiple different layers of security here. But again, the group that's, supposedly, could be responsible for it, they're just very sophisticated attackers, and they were, could have taken a long time to plan it, execute it, and a lot of stuff had to go right as well. But boy, 1.4 million ETH, amazing. And then some of it got burned. I'll talk about that in a little bit too. I saw that Coffee was talking about some of it got burned as well, which is interesting. Is this the catalyst? We've been waiting for that catalyst for ETH to take off. Is this the catalyst? He also talked about halting withdrawals and that piece as well. We'll see. I mean, it seems like Bybit, they seem to be doing and saying all the right things. Everyone's like, oh, FTX, all this stuff. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if this was, if they were in better shape than FTX was, for example, in this one. So what was interesting about this, a lot of you may remember CZ from, Funds or Seifu and all I think the Binance hack and stuff that took place a long time ago. What was that, a few years ago, 2018 or something like that. But anyways, I came across this post. I don't follow CZ or anything. I just came across it. And at the end of it, he linked to a blog. He said, I wrote an article a few years ago, a little outdated, fundamental concepts still apply. And I was reading this article and I was like, wow, this is a really solid article. This guy actually knows what he's talking about. And I was pleasantly surprised. Like, this is great. And again, this is 5 years old, literally almost to the day, 5 years old. And almost all of it, I would say, or maybe all of it, still holds up really well. And it's like super, super good. And, me being the nerd and, having a security background too, I always appreciate the people who are able to go in depth, especially in the crypto world, and talk about security things and be able to separate the things that are important from the things that are just buzzwords and kind of like, that's the thing you should do, but like, what kind of ROI is actually there? Are there things that are more important that nobody wants to talk about? And a lot of stuff too. And I've tried to bring that out in a few of the security streams too. But yeah, this is this is really good. This is kind of a, you could make a whole like, crypto course around this, multi-page blog. So we're going to go through a few of them. Before we do, let me say hi to the chat. Chat popping off already. How's it going, chat? Pulse Jiu-Jitsu. Fast Abdul, I'm here for the tech. And that's what we got on the PulseChain. We got the tech. We got the security. We have privacy at some point. We had a great stream, yesterday with Fast Abdul too, if you want to check it out. Talked about a lot of cool stuff around that. CryptoToad83, how's it going? Maybe it's just saying your name correctly. CryptoToad83. There you go. I always want to put the Y on there, just automatically. Solo Turk, how's it going? Welcome. Tam, good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome to the chat. Hello, Matt. How's it going? So you got a question there as well. I could definitely, I'll cover that. Let me get through this in a little bit, and I will definitely cover your question. It's a great one. Something that I could definitely speak to. Xerox Flanx.pls. Awesome. Got pls.pls address. Welcome. How's it going? Carrie Reed, happy Saturday. RHMax on Hexent. Happy Saturday to you. Hope you're having a great one, sir. Yo, Mackie, good afternoon. Like that diamond. I'd like to see that Hex. Is that the Hex.com diamond? Is that the 5555 carat diamond? Or is it 55.55 carat? One of those? Could be. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it is. If it's in a Hexacan avatar or therefore. Anyways, let me get through a few of these points in the blog. Again, super good. And I've got a blog, wrote a lot about security there as well. And if I were to write a new one, I would probably reference some of these if I were to write some new content there as well. Or if I would have known about this back in the day, like I don't even remember ever seeing this. It's super good. I'm sure a lot of people have quoted it. First, nothing is 100% secure. If your little planet gets hit by an asteroid, your funds are unlikely to be safe. Unlikely to be safe. No matter how secure it is, you can store it in space, see how long that lasts, it's worth anything Earth is gone. I like, a lot of these people, again, criticize, you don't like CZ, you like CZ, whatever. A lot of the people who are successful in the industry, they are able to think, at broad scales. They're able to synthesize a lot of different information, really zoom out, understand things at a very deep level. And that's really where it starts. Nothing is 100% secure. You can only get more secure or less secure. So that's a great starting point for people too. So what you're really asking for is it safe enough? I really like that framing. That's a really good framing. So let's define safe enough. For different people and purposes, it's different. You store $100 in a spending wallet. You probably don't need ultra high security. Your mobile phone wallet will likely do the trick. If you store millions of dollars in life savings and you want to have stronger security measures, I basically said something like this the other day when I was going through. Let me see if I can find the post I made the other day on security. So kind of talked about this, had some great follow-up questions as well. All right, trying to make this stream will probably be about 45 minutes long. I'll try not to make it too long. But I do want to cover a few things. Almost there. I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it. Getting close. Getting closer. Very close. Okay, so this is one of them. It's not the one I'm looking for, but something I'll cover in a minute too. Imagine how much better it'd be if you stopped using Windows and didn't put your life savings on your phone. I'll get to that poll in a little bit as well. It's coming. It's definitely coming. Yes, so this is one of the replies to this one. So I did some variation to this in the last security AMA I had to Congo, and we talked about some of the pieces too, but 4 things you can do right now, but you probably won't, to not lose all your money in crypto. Switch from Windows to Mac, Linux, or security-focused OS. Don't do crypto on your phone. Use burner wallets for connecting new dApps. Avoid Telegram. Solid advice, if I do say so myself. So this one got me thinking a little bit. So this is security certification. Windows boxes were way harder than other OSs. It's about hardening. Windows can be hardened pretty as well. So that one I would say what matters for crypto users is mostly client-side attacks, regardless of the OS, apps, and OPSEC. I think non-Windows has a lot of advantages in the space. And then for, one for the non-technical side, Windows has been historically way more targeted for large-scale attacks versus others due to market share alone. And good follow-up here as well. I talked a little bit about Linux and stuff too. And then, shoot, was that not the one? Was that not the thread? That one has good points as well. Did I not? Is that not the good thread? Sorry, I clicked on the wrong one. That was a good thread too, but what was the one that I posted? This one. Okay. If I may ask, Mask, what is the issue you found or heard from people doing crypto on their phones? Because I have a friend who does it on their phone. He doesn't click any random links or connects his wallet to unknown dApps, but is that enough to be secure? To which, very excellent question. A lot of people are confused. Why not do crypto on my phone? And again, I'm going back to the CZ's advice here as well. Safe enough. Is it safe enough? So there are a few downsides to using crypto on your phone. Losing your phone. Now you rely on someone not getting into it, taking your money, when it's usually a lot less likely to lose your laptop and so on. Still easy to click on malware and bad stuff on your phone. Depends on the phone and apps and stuff though. Sometimes really bad will be harder to detect versus same thing happened on the computer. Hardware wallet with phone is possible, but less common. Seems harder to stop getting phished in some ways versus on the phone, especially with centralized exchange stuff and in the realm of malicious apps. More control over cameras, mics, less worried about privacy risks overall on desktop, laptop, whatever, versus mobile. Using wallet apps just feel harder to do. Download and install the right one. How many times have you searched the app store for the crypto app do you want or any app do you want? You're like, which one do I click on? Like even if you search for ChatGPT, it's like there's a bunch. It's ridiculous like how hard it is. You're trying to help someone install an app, and it's like there's all kinds of scam ones out there that are on the app store that are they just got rated somehow. So it all ends with this. But with anything, it's the risk. Using crypto wallet with $500 on it to do transactions on the phone seems more reasonable than a hot wallet with $5,000 or an account exchange with the same or more. So is it safe enough? Different people have different levels of safety they need, just like you said here. So to secure your coins, you need to do the following three things. Prevent others from stealing. Prevent yourself from losing it. Have a way to pass them to your loved ones in the event that you become unavailable. So, one sec before we get into it. All right, and we're back. Sorry about that. So you may or may not want to store coins yourself. Yeah, your keys, your funds. If you know RH and stuff, not your keys, not your coins. Many crypto OGs will adamantly claim it's only safe if you hold crypto yourself while never considering how technical it is for the average person. That's a good point. Like every time we say not your keys, not your coins, everyone out there new to crypto and has no technical experience whatsoever is like, this is like, now I got to go learn all this stuff. And like, I don't know how to do this stuff. I can, I just use a computer for work. And like, it isn't like this simple, like, we can yell at people all day long, but most people are just, they don't want to do that. And it's not even, imagine if they go get their coins, they keep them, they learn how to use a hardware wallet, do all this stuff. And then again, because they're not very technical, they just like lose it. Is that better? Like, I think it's an interesting question to ask. Is it better that to let people hold their own coins when you're almost certain they're going to lose it? I mean, there's definitely an argument for counterparties. I mean, in the world of finance, in the world of not wanting to lose stuff that is important, there are counterparties. And yes, there's a huge trade-off for that. But looking at it like every time an exchange gets hacked, it's like, oh, those people are just stupid for giving their coins in exchange. It's like, no, I don't think they're stupid. They're not technically apt enough to hold them themselves. So they wanted to find a trusted party to hold them for them. And in the real world, that's what people do all the time. So like, so I want to keep, $600,000 in a mattress, right? You go to a bank and hold it half the time. Again, I'm a huge proponent for DeFi, huge proponent for holding your own keys. All that stuff. I get it. I'm not, the average person in the world out there. I can use a computer pretty well, comparatively speaking, and, all that other stuff. So I have some compassion for people out there if they are not, holding all their coins at least. So yeah, I think it is really when he breaks it down. A Bitcoin key, private key looks like this. That's it. It's a string of characters. Whoever has a copy of it can move Bitcoins on that address, if any. It is pretty interesting how like literally it is just a string of characters. At the end of the day, money, access to money is a string of characters. It's pretty amazing how the technology works like that. But also like eye-opening, like, wow, I better not lose that, right? So hold crypto yourself. You need to prevent others from obtaining private keys, preventing hackers, securing computers from viruses, prevent yourself from losing keys. Again, huge thing. You can do all the security in the world, and then if you just lose the password to your passwords, for example, like it's which one's better? And then your loved ones, event of death, not pleasant thing to consider, responsible loved one, most managed at risk, all that stuff. So I'm just going to skip through a few of these, and there's a question in the chat too. And it's not going to be a super long stream, but computer's obvious choice. So different devices. So computer. So basically talks about how to do secure computer stuff. Even this means you should even use a stable version of Linux, not Mac or Windows for your operating system, and only use open source wallet software. I didn't even catch that one until now, but there you go. Tip of the hat to not using Windows. We'll say that. And using open source stuff. USB, again, I'm not going to read through all these, but computer, mobile phone, he talks about, the different security ramifications, stuff like that. And then hardware wallets, he talks about that as well. So, and those are, we talked about this on the show. I'm not going to rehash it, but those are ways to prevent yourself from like losing them to other people or getting them stolen. And then preventing yourself from losing your keys. So backups, again, there's all kinds of different paper and metal and virtual and USB, like he talked about, a lot of stuff like that for backups. So he actually recommends using a few USB sticks, and I think the really high quality ones that are fire resistant, magnetic, all that stuff, and multiple locations. I think did you talk about breaking them up, like using multiple ones to either break them up or just have multiple copies, one of those. So there's that. And then again, in case you're not around anymore, what to do with it too. So what is the advice? Strong against sharing any of these keys between people no matter relationship for the simple reason when it's stolen, the possible attorney who moved it. You could leave your paper wallet in a bank vault or with a lawyer. Again, if anyone gets a copy of the keys, they can move the funds without much trace. And then if you use the USB stick mentioned above, there are ways to pass it on your wealth more safely, but again, requires much more setup. Online service is called Deadman Switch. Yeah, so they ping email you once in a while. If you click a link or respond, if you don't, they assume you're not there anymore, and something will happen. Like they'll, execute whatever plan. So there's probably decentralized contract stuff to do stuff like that too. So again, ton of great reading here. Using exchanges. Yeah, darn, a whole lot of trouble. Let me use my coin exchange then. Isn't free. Exchanges aren't risk free either. Exchanges are responsible for keeping your funds safe and secure. Still need to follow proper practice to secure your account. So that's where we talk about 2FA. That's where, one of the definite things should be doing, not clicking on, avoid clicking links of any sort from anyone to you, for example. And one way, stay off Telegram, avoid that. That reduces the risk a lot too, in my opinion. I know a lot of people have to get on Telegram. They work. Maybe it's part of their job, part of their team, part of their, all that stuff. But just in general, just be aware of a lot of the shenanigans that happen. Once you're exposed to areas like that, especially on a daily basis. And I think 2FA, just having stuff. I mean, wallets. When I explained hardware wallets, it's like kind of 2FA for your wallet. It is. Are you sure you want to make this transaction? Is it from the person you think it's from? People can't just make transactions without physically having access and being unlocked and all that stuff too. So secure your computer. Again, I've talked about this stuff a lot, but he talks about how to secure your computer. He says install commercial antivirus on it. Yeah, I don't. The question about antivirus I'll answer in a minute. I don't think buying additional antiviruses, if you use Windows, which again I recommend not, and for if you want to avoid a lot of the malware stuff that's out there. But if you do, it already has one built in. It's called Windows Defender. It does a great job. So yeah, and firewalls are kind of, a lot of stuff is kind of outdated of there's a firewall, but a lot of the firewalls on automatically too. So a lot of Windows by default, antivirus and firewall is fine. The privacy that's just a train wreck and all that stuff too. And just that we're targeted so much for malware. It's just very hard to not click on the wrong stuff or download the wrong thing, or very hard not to be tricked using Windows. I'll say that. So I think the defaults are fine as far as Windows goes. Mac, not worried about antivirus. Linux, same thing. Avoid downloading files. Great one. Just don't download things. If you download it, you may click on it either then or later. Don't download it. You remove it yourself from the any types of attacks if you don't download things. I know that's weird, kind of a weird thing. I would just never download things, but if you kind of make an exception where it's an exception when I download something. When I click on something and I let it download, or if it does accidentally download something, just delete it immediately. There it is, gone. You don't have to click on it now. If it goes in your recycle bin, pretty sure you can't double click it and run it if it's in your trash. Email account. So we talked about Gmail, Proton Mail. You can have your preference for that. Turn on 2FA for email service and YubiKey and stuff. Any kind of hardware 2FA is really good too. Google Authenticator, all of those software ones are good too, but YubiKey, any hardware 2FA, super good for a lot of stuff. Secure passwords. I don't like the cloud-based ones, but a lot of people do know the risks with using those. But are they better than writing them on a piece of paper? Pros and cons. I still don't trust people I don't trust password companies to not get hacked and lose my passwords. So there's that. I know there's some interesting security ways to avoid even them having access to it, which they may or may not deploy. That would be a good consideration if the services do stuff like that. Kind of like the Apple advanced encryption thing that got disabled in the UK recently, which was supposed to make sure even Apple couldn't access your data. But the UK government was not cool with that. So 2FA UTF. So this is just hardware 2FA type stuff. Pretty good. Stop using SMS verification. I'm sure people have talked ad nauseam about that before. A bunch of different things. I'm not going to go through each one. But boy, this is super, super full of details. Great article with examples and stuff too. YouTube scams, I covered some of the stuff on that before as well. The Amazon phishing, all those things. Always type in the URL manually to your favorite crypto exchange. Learn to spell Binance.com properly or use a bookmark. Yeah, I would say bookmarks are probably the easiest thing because you still technically could misspell it a lot. Recommendations are pretty good for browsers too. But anyways, super good piece on that. I think it's really good. I'll come back to this in just a minute, but let me get to some of the questions. All right, let's go here. So first one from Matt. Can you touch on the Linux users and whether or not they need antivirus, security applications, etc.? Please and thank you. Yeah, so the way I think about it, outside of Windows, so Mac, I don't recommend people install extra antivirus and stuff on Mac. I think they have a lot of built-in security controls similar to Windows. Maybe not antivirus. They have lots of advanced security controls that are similar to antivirus, but aren't like traditionally, like you wouldn't see them as being Windows Defender, which is default for Windows. But they have some advanced security controls. So I don't tell people to install antivirus on Mac, just because I think they have a lot of built-in stuff that does a good job. Linux, same thing. Not because they have a lot of built-in stuff that does a good job necessarily. There are some few security features for Linux too, but just because it's so little targeted. It is literally, I mean, there's the market share. I mean, if you ever want to see what the most targeted OS for attacks are, just go and type in desktop OS market share. And you'll see which ones, when attackers go after when they set up like generic malware, come on, give me something easier. When they set up generic malware, oftentimes they want to get the most people to click on it and they want to hack the most amount of people. And man, can somebody just give me a chart that I want to see here? Just not give me what I'm looking for. I don't want that kind of chart. Give me a pie chart. I gotta type in pie chart. You're gonna make me do that? One more up-to-date one. This one at least says something interesting. Okay, I'll take a table. Let's do it. So the 4 desktop OSs make up 99% of total world market. So Windows, 83%. OS X, which is Mac, 12%. Linux, 1 to 2%. So if you're writing malware out there and if you want to hack the most computers, if you want to get the most successful people clicking on it and compromising their machines, you're going to target Windows. Like, why wouldn't you? That's what most people run. That's where the numbers are. It's numbers, I'm not speaking for criminal enterprises or attackers at large. I'm not one of them. I'm not on that side, but I'm just saying, obviously, if you look at maybe, malware statistics by operating system. See if we find something interesting on that. AI just gives it to us real quick too. Windows is by far the most targeted operating system for malware, accounting for the vast majority of malware attacks due to its large market share. I'm not just making this stuff up. I mean, to me, it's just kind of like obvious, but I don't even like Google this stuff because it's just, again, I have a security background, so a lot of it is just instincts too. While Mac OS experiences significantly fewer malware incidents but remains vulnerable, Android seeing a higher new mobile threats compared to iOS. Yeah. So if we go to this poll, only answer this if you've been hacked in the past decade. What operating system are you using? Windows. Of the people who answered this, and again, I feel like this poll is very representative. If we had 1,000 more people answer it, I think it would be probably around the same numbers. 59% Windows, and the others mobile. So if you're looking at this, if you're trying to drive some data from it, what would you avoid doing crypto on? It seems to point to avoiding doing it on Windows and mobile. Now, of course, it's not like a foolproof data set. We don't have all the people in the world answering it. A lot of people don't run Mac or Linux or anything else anyways. So a lot of people aren't going to, I guess it's just part of the market share count, point as well. But anyways, if you're just looking at this, you're like, wow, which one should I avoid doing crypto on? Maybe those if you don't want to lose money. So again, it's not 100%, but I just think this is representative of what I've been saying for a while now. And you look at the market share, and you look at, what Google's saying over here as well. There you go. So as far as, back to the question. Linux users rather than, so I don't tell people to install antivirus in Linux. I think it's targeted much less than Windows, for example. You can see on Mac and stuff as well. And it has some pretty good security things built in too. But again, anything could be targeted. Everything is vulnerable in some way. It's just, if it's just a level of risk too. Are you using crypto on it? Like if it gets hacked, we lose all our money. Investing more in those types of things versus, hey, this is just my gaming computer that I don't do anything stuff on. But I had Staked Wealth on a while back, and he was talking about how he had a compromise where he was downloading torrents. He's using Windows, downloading torrents, and he downloaded malware over a torrent, and he happened to have, a hot wallet. I think that's the story. Don't quote me on this, but you can go look it up. Type in RHMax hack, $50,000 hack or something like that. And where he talks about the story. But it was because download malware had crypto wallet on there. The malware, I guess saw that he had a wallet. Hey, can extract some money. And there it goes. So on Linux, though, security applications, antivirus, I think it's really just, it comes back to a lot of the foundations. Instead of buying commercial products, I usually talk about just doing the basics of avoiding clicking on links, avoiding downloading stuff, even on Linux. Keep your browser up to date. Do all that stuff. Just avoid bad websites in general. There's pros and cons with using the VPN. I think it's kind of overrated in a lot of ways. It's great for privacy. Doesn't really do much for security. I've talked about that a lot before as well. But yeah, at least if you're using Mac or Linux, you are removing yourself. That's the way I visualize it. You're removing yourself from all of the attacks that are targeting Windows, right? If they're targeting Windows and a common browser on Windows, then they're not going to work by nature on Mac and Linux and even mobile and stuff like that too. But if they're targeting mobile and you got crypto on mobile, then, again, it's, to me, a lot of security is about removing yourself from even being a target. He's talking about with servers and websites and stuff too. Try not to store people's data. Try not to store sensitive information. So there's no reason somebody would try to target it and go after the website. If your website doesn't store, customer information, for example, then why would, they have one less, probably very big reason to go after it. So removing yourself from the equation entirely, it's very underrated. And I think a very good mental model for security. So let me know if that helps, if you have any other follow-ups. Is there a link to the video that you have? It's from Carrie Reed. Is there a link to the video you have on how to move hex stakes to Trezor? How to move hex stakes to Trezor. I'm not sure I understand the question. It sounds like you have HSIs. You want to move to a wallet that you have on Trezor. I'm not sure you need to do, when you just send it to the same wallet address that you were using with your Trezor type of thing. Don't quote me on it because I'm not sure about the question, but you can check with at Ben Dubard. Yeah, I watched your video with Ben Dubard and go on and go real DeFi. Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I would just at him on Twitter and see if maybe he can answer it too. You have some more context. Yeah, not sure on that. I've taken your advice and going to move to use a MacBook. Awesome. I love to see people, whatever else they use, moving away from Windows for crypto. It is like, I don't like to see people lose money. And every single time I see people, every story I hear about people losing money in crypto, they never tell me they're using a Mac or Linux. It's always they're using Windows or a mobile device. They're using crypto for that. Tell me if you know of someone, chat, if you're listening, and you know of someone who has been, compromised using it. I'm not saying it's not possible to be compromised. I'll be clear. It is totally possible to compromise anything, any of these operating systems. I'm just saying the ones that are targeted are the ones that I would avoid, The ideal is I would avoid using crypto on the ones that are most targeted. So you're not even there. All right. Sorry, I'm going to have to wrap up here in a minute. I'm already over 30 minutes here, but Grok can generate one. Grok can generate. What were you saying on this one, Matt? Thank you a little bit. Love and Mint. Cool. Yeah, Mint Linux. Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of different Linux distributions. So Mint Linux. There's also a security focused one too. I think Mint is really good for a very popular one. Yeah, Mint, Ubuntu. I mean, I've been using Linux for, I don't know, 20 years. 15, 20 years or so. So there's a lot of the old school ones I'm more familiar with too. What's the security focused one? Focused. I'm sure there's a bunch, but you got Cubes. Of course, you got like Tails OS and stuff for Tor. Black R. I mean, some of these are Alpine. What was the one I saw recently? I thought that was another one that was like supposed to be like a new secure out of the box one. Yeah, well, it's been around for a long time too. So, yeah, I don't remember. Chat, let me know if you know the one that's on that list. All right, gonna wrap up here. What else? Yeah, I'll just say, stop using Windows. I don't like, besides the privacy nightmare, it's just the most targeted OS for malware of all time. Only thing maybe competing with Android, and that's almost an exception just to the sheer number of phones there are in the world, like probably billions, just like probably Windows computers too. And I would just move to something else. I think it's just, Windows is just too hard. If you're an advanced technical person, I still think it's tricky using Windows, but yeah, can you do it? Sure. You can do it. You can do anything. You can just not click on bad stuff, right? You can just keep everything up to date. You can just, be careful with Wi-Fi, like all this stuff. Although I feel like all the Wi-Fi concerns are a little overrated too. These days, a lot of it was like, oh, they can sniff your data and all that stuff. And it's like, modern browsers have lots of security protections that make attacks much harder than they used to be. So it's just like firewalls, 20, 30 years ago, were firewalls a good idea? Were they necessary? Yes. Were they like something you had to go manually do? Sure. But nowadays they're built into everything. You got routers that have NAT that, by default do not allow stuff to connect to your network and from the outside and all this stuff too. So these days, all about passwords, right? 2FA, turn 2FA on. That way, if you lose your password, somebody steals your password, or you click on something or otherwise, it doesn't take over your account. They also need to like get your phone, get your hardware wallet, get something else that you probably have. It's much harder for them to get if they're bad guy over the internet type of thing. So CZ, a lot of good security stuff there. Impressive blog. The Bybit hack, I still don't quite know what happened. Maybe the interface they were using, they were like the hacking group was able to just like trick them and do some like very sophisticated stuff, because yeah, I imagine they got a probably pretty good security story there as far as like transaction goes, especially big ones like that. But hey, if you're looking at something and it's not, if it matches up to what you're expecting and it looks legit, what else was the CEO supposed to do, or whoever approved that transaction? Like, it's easy to be like, oh, they messed up, but it's like they could have been just, it could have just been like a very sophisticated attack that could have happened to, it could have happened to anyone. It just happened that they were targeted, and because they had a lot of money, right? So exchanges are big targets because they have a lot of money. There's something to steal. So anyways, any other questions? Wrap up here in like 2 minutes. Can't get to everything today, but I think I covered a lot of it. Hopefully that was helpful. Stay safe out there. I talk about this stuff a lot. GoRealDeFi.com. Click on navigation. Click on security. Got a ton of videos on the channel. RHMax.tv. I think that's all I got for you today. Scivive and 5555. We are out.